Welcome to Technology and Education. Today I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Today we're talking about storytelling, specifically digital storytelling within an e-learning environment, right?
That's right.
Yay!
So what on earth are we using storytelling in an e-learning environment for?
The same reason you would use it in any type of environment. You're trying to tell a story and engage the learner in not only the thought process, but the actual focused plot or thematic expectation within the storytelling product.
So I'm going to
You
tell...
usually have a reason to tell a story, right?
Yeah.
So that outcome, the reason to tell the story, is either the thought process involved in the story, but more so it's usually the outcome. So why would you want to remember this information? Why is this important? Why is this vital to know? So the storytelling component aids the learner, because we're all storytellers. We all remember the stories from our youth, stories that people tell us on a daily basis. We remember things as stories, not just bits of information, but understanding how everything works together. So storytelling is one way to enhance that within the instructional environment. That's the way we already work. That's how our mind works and connects everything. So why shouldn't we integrate
Okay,
it?
so let's say I'm teaching a course.
Am I just rambling?
And the course is in history, and I have a whole bunch of stuff for the students to read in my online e-learning course. What kind of story am I going to use there? Where does this story come from?
Well, for example, you gave me a hard time at a conference once. We had...
Just once?
Well, this is the one I really remember because I was harassed so much about it. It was a history buff, and the presenter was telling stories about history and the Revolutionary War and how things actually started and the first shot heard around the world and all that kind of stuff. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting there, it was early one morning, and he said, so how is it that all of these revolutionists were able to miss all these soldiers coming directly at them? The soldiers were just walking along, and the Americans, the revolutionaries, sat there, got ready, shot, and totally missed all the soldiers. How did that possibly happen? And I'm sitting here under my breath going, because they were drunk. They just came out of a bar.
Oh, actually,
and you and the other people around me turned and gave me the nastiest looks. How can you possibly say that? It's like, because I know the stories of my family. My family started this country. That was part of the group. I can tell you, they were all drunks. That's where the guys got together.
So your family's been in the United States for a long time.
Long time. That's where they got together and worked out how they were going to do everything, and that's where the revolutionists came together.
I would have said
in a bar, in a pub.
Another reason is they might have been untrained and they fired high and went right over the heads of the British soldiers.
Yeah, y'all had an absolute fit when I said that. And after y'all had finally calmed down, I said, just
okay,
wait.
So
the guy said, because they had been drinking all day and they weren't seeing straight, so they missed. It's like, I told ya.
So that's the story you're going to put into the... that's the type of a story you can put into the course.
Would you forget a story like that? The shot heard around the world was not because they were such poor shots. It's because they had just come out of war, and nobody ever tells you these cool stories. You only hear them coming down, and if you're really a history buff and you find out. But wouldn't you remember the shot heard around the world? Why did the American revolutionists, whose job was to understand how to shoot whatever it is they needed to shoot, they shot at English soldiers, missed them, and the soldiers killed the Americans, and that's the shot heard around the world. Would you not remember that story over, yeah, these English soldiers killed the Americans? And what's the backstory? How do you frame that information? I never forgot it once I heard that whole interesting part of it.
So now you have this story that you want to tell. You're the author of the course. How do you make these...
Frame it so it's engaging to
Well, how do you make the
learners?
characters in the story, how do you make them engaging?
How do you make them engaging? You make them understandable to the learners. Who are these people? Give them a little bit of a backstory. Explain why these people are important. What do they have to do with not only the course structure, but how do they frame within the environment?
Okay, so there must be...
within the story.
So for a novice storyteller, or a story writer in essence, because if you're a storyteller, you're a story writer, there must be some elements, main elements in a story that they should be aware of as the course writer. What might some of these elements be that you should keep in mind when you're writing a story?
some of these elements that you should keep in mind?
Elements.
You
Yes.
mean like denouement and the whole story
No,
curve, or what are we talking
I
about?
mean, they're, you know,
You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning should frame the environment. The middle should tell the story in an engaging manner. You get to know what the themes are, what the actual story focus is, what is the issue at hand, and then at the very end, towards the end of the story, how do you work through whatever that issue is, as well as enhancing the lesson that needs to be learned.
So you would also then need a theme. And
Oh, I see where you're going.
and a plot.
Theme and plot. Okay.
She's the English
Faster
teacher.
way of saying
English,
what I said.
English teacher.
A prior English teacher. That's what I'm saying. I don't really remember anything but denouement, that whole curve, because I haven't taught in so long.
Well, yeah, I imagine you'd have to have some sort of plot to your little story, something that's going to hold the audience's interest, and then you have to have a theme. In the case you're illustrating, if you're going to start a revolution, try to be sober.
I don't know. They did pretty well. Other than being shot dead coming out of the bar, started the whole Revolutionary War. It upset the Americans.
Didn't upset the Americans, upset the British.
Well, the British started attacking.
Well, actually, there was an awful lot of American sympathizers with the British, but I don't want to get into that. And so then how about you have a core message?
See, it engages the learner. I tell this little story and you keep coming back to it.
The story is just not, you're not telling a story just to engage the learners. You
have an outcome.
You have to have
worry about
a message.
what the lesson is.
Yeah, a message, right. You have to have a core message.
Focus.
Yes, a core focus. And
Stories is stories is stories. So what? What do you want the learner to get out of it?
So your little story has to focus in on a core message of what you're trying to teach.
Like Aesop's Fables. There's always an overriding theme in Aesop's Fables. Great little story, short, sweet, to the point, and you know what the outcome is supposed to be. You understand, and then you can engage the learner in discussion of, so why was that important?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things in storytelling within a course or a lesson is to keep it short, get to the point, keep it interesting,
simple.
Keep it simple. Those Aesop's Fables is probably a very good example because they don't take up a lot of time, and then you get the message at the end of it.
They were brilliant. I still adore them.
And one other thing I think that might be important within the story in an online course, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, is interactivity within the story.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, of course. If the learner isn't engaged and they're just passively sitting there and not actually interested in what's going on and discussing at the same time, it's like webinars. We have online webinars that are constantly going on where people are engaged, and if you ever notice, when there's a chat session, people want that chat going on so that they can engage with the material and communicate with the other people as well. It's so important, not only cognitively, but to feel a connection with whatever the subject matter is that's going on. But to enhance that connection is also the quality of the multimedia, the graphics, the video, how the presentation is actually offered.
All that can go into a story too in a e-learning course, in an online course. Another thing I'm thinking is that would it be possible to ask the students to create alternative endings to the story?
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely. Another way to engage them. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and with that, we've reached the end of another edition of Technology and Education Today. For Technology and Education Today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye.